Gibraltar has always been built on hard work, resilience, and entrepreneurship. From family-run businesses to modern startups, local entrepreneurs continue to shape the Rock's economy and community. Behind every successful business is a personal story of sacrifice, determination, risk, and passion. Talking Business explores the people behind the businesses and the journeys that brought them to success. Today on Talking Business, I'm joined by Romina Mayani at Sam's Kitchen, a flexitarian eatery here in Gibraltar. So welcome, Romina. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Firstly, thank you for having me. Really grateful to it.
It's a pleasure to see more female entrepreneurs and talk to them here. So you grew up here in Gibraltar and you've seen how Gibraltar has evolved. How has that shaped you personally?
Well, I think here in Gibraltar, the beauty of it has always been that community spirit that we have going on, and to have been able to be brought up between different cultures, different languages. And I think also the inclusivity that we have in Gibraltar has always been very present. And as the years have gone by, we've seen this infrastructure change, but I think that community spirit still exists very strongly.
So you studied international business and you weren't really feeling that that was the right fit for you. How was that experience and what did it provide you with?
I think initially it was all about, it's going to be so grand, have something different, international business. But I think me within myself, it was the first time being away from home. And I think the understanding of many things was different. So you kind of face a lot of challenges as you're out there in the big world, which perhaps you're so sheltered when you're living here.
Yes.
And when you're out there, you're like, how am I going to do this? And do I fit in? Can I make a difference? And I think that was quite challenging in itself. But I think my perseverant nature since I was a kid kind of helped me sail it through as best as I could.
So I like the perseverant nature because I think that is also something you need to have when you start a business. Tell me a little bit more about how this has factored into the way you do things in business.
I think more than anything, because I found myself very alone in certain situations, it was like either I stay stagnant or I try and find a solution. And sometimes it was very difficult to see a solution being formed. But because I had that perseverance of going, let me find a way. And I think with business as well, especially when you're starting something completely new, it's a completely new market, something that there have been really good businesses that have stepped into the plant-based industry a bit, but I think we became sold about just plant-based, and more so because we thought, what are there solutions for people who have allergies, for example, to dairy, to gluten, to eggs? Can we do something that can actually help them to feel comfortable to come to us to eat? And that's how it all actually began, to be honest.
Well, before that, you had met your now husband, Sanjay, and he was a bit of an adventurer, I believe. Time spent in Nigeria and Ghana. How was that experience for you as a couple, and how did it enrich your cultural background?
I think that has been my game changer, because whatever challenges I felt was still embedded with me since the university days and living on my own and stuff like that. When I went out into Africa, to Nigeria and to Ghana, I think what struck me the most was how people were able to find ways, even in the smallest of things, to create a business. And that tenacity that they had of, despite our socioeconomic background, they kept thriving, they kept pushing, and that was inspiring to watch. And I thought to myself, I'm very comfortable here. I need to do something. And just going out there, and sometimes I'd run away from my husband. I wouldn't tell him where I was going. I'd just sit and people watch and go, how are they doing that? The smallest of things they'll do something to make a difference for themselves and to make sure that they could provide for their families. And of course, the cultural background, it's so similar. Some things were so similar to India, so there was a kind of a familiarity, but in a totally different culture, if that makes sense.
I feel like sometimes when people need to survive, it almost leads to them being able to thrive. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
I think having seen it there and being a part of it, when you just walk down the markets and they'd call out to you, and they tell you all sorts, and you're seeing what they're trying to sell, and it's like, wow, how did you make that from that?
Yeah.
And buy it from me. You know, that perseverance that they had was actually more embedded within me to go, don't give up on anything. You can't give up. And it's not like here in the so-called Western world. I think we're all kind of the same world right now, but in the olden days, we'd say, okay, this is in the Western world, we'd look for places or look for solutions to help us and assist us to feel better about ourselves. But there it's more about, we get on with it.
And do you feel like the world experience is also essential to building your character, especially if you want to start a business in the future?
To be very honest with you, I never expected to have those experiences, because for me it was, I live here in Gibraltar, I go to university, I work over here back in Gib, and when I get married, I'll just stay in the place. Hopefully, if it's not here, I'd stay in the place where I've got married into. But life took such a journey that we ended up having to move to different countries based on the jobs that Sanjay was doing. So initially it was like, this is a shock to my system. I don't want to know, I don't want to change, I don't want to do things, because Gibraltar was my comfort. So I think all of that was embedded in me. This is my comfort zone. So you're just thrown into the deep end, and either you actually decide I'm not going to carry on, or I have to learn a bit more. So those experiences was when I actually allowed myself to watch, to get involved, to put myself into the culture, rather than just staying back and observing like, I can't do this. And that, I think, shaped the way that I was seeing my life, because the humility just sparked on. You're seeing it from different perspectives completely. So that level of humility of, I don't know anything, I am willing to learn, that stepped in very, very quickly.
So you learn as you earn, as they say.
Yep, 100%.
Excellent. Your brother Naveen came along and told you that he wanted to start Cycle.
Yep.
Tell me all about that experience.
So Naveen also my brother had the experience of being in Peru for a long period of time. I think he did it, he wanted to do it, whereas I was just thrown in the deep end.
Okay.
And I think because of those experiences that we both had, he was very adamant to start something different. And I want to do programs that we can help young people. And I think it hit a very deep place for us, because we both have experienced bullying when we were younger. And we didn't have the tools and the techniques, so we couldn't really vocalize what we were going through at that time. And having been in these different situations, it was like, how can I plant myself in such a way that I can help and assist with well-being, with activities, and obviously the youth service have been here doing such an incredible job. And the good thing is that they're all year round. So for us, it was like we're creating something for the summer. But yeah, to make the idea come together, think of different things. And he was actually the driving force. Naveen has always been the driving force and the bossy one when it comes to the sister.
Wow.
I love it.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I picked up on you mentioning bullying, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. It's such a hard place to be, especially when you're young. How do you feel social media has added to the pressure for young people?
I think it's quite a lot, to be honest. I think you have two different sides. I mean, there's the ones that influences you, like saying, oh, Mira, look, I could try that and I could try this. But then there's the other one where it's downgrading and putting people down, and perhaps building up an image for young people to feel like if you do this, you're going to feel better. Or mockery. I think the mockery is where a lot of the people get a bit confused with, and it kind of sabotages your self-confidence a bit. I think there's a duality to that, to be honest with you.
It's clear that you and Naveen are both passionate about helping young people. What keeps you motivated, and what type of programs do you have, and what sense do you take away when all of this is completed for them?
I'm even going to get emotional saying it, but when you see a child that comes in lacking that intense confidence, they've gone through different experiences, and they come and tell you, I feel better, I feel more confident, and at the end of the actual program, they are feeling so fulfilled, you're like, thank you, because that's what I needed to see from you when you finished. And I want you to be able to know that those tools are going to serve you for life, because it's built based on that. Excuse my emotion, but it's something I'm very passionate about, and I've seen it throughout the years. And because I'm a very quiet person when it comes to the work I do, I mean, when I have seen the effect that certain things can have on young people, or anyone, to be honest with you, You're like, you know what, I'm emotional because I know that you're going to be okay.
That's incredibly beautiful, and the emotion is contagious because of the fact that I can sense how passionate you are, and I can only commend you for making a difference in anyone's life, even if it's a small one. That's amazing. But going back to Sam's Kitchen now, you had another idea brewing during COVID, and Sanjay came to you and said, I have something I want to do.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
The first thing was like, oh, like what is this now? But yeah, he had been working actually because COVID happened. I think it was about on and off a year. He actually sat with it, and he just sat with trying to come up with different ideas. He kept researching, and he came with a plan. He kind of came with a plan together, and I thought, excuse me, how can we do this in Gibraltar? How are we going to manage this here? Because obviously there's not anything to fall back on. We don't have any data here to... But he made it happen. He did all his research. We went to some fairs in the UK. I jumped on the bandwagon and said, you know what? Okay, let's see what we can do. And to be honest with you, I've got amazing family that were very supportive. They're like, you know what, if you don't do it today, when are you going to do it? So we had the idea come through the fact that we were meeting a lot of people who had allergies. There were people who were saying, I can't get this, and I would love to be able to offer this. And when we go out for a meal, we're not able to get it because some of the establishments are not able to cater for it for whatever reason, because we all work differently. And that, I think, with Sam's Kitchen was more about, you know what, if we can target audiences that have allergies, how could you do something that they have a ready-to-go meal? So if you've got your allergies, you've got certain things that you can't eat, we know that we can provide that for you on a certain scale. Obviously, being a smaller place, it's not that we can be like a restaurant.
I want to know all about the concept here at Sam's Kitchen. You describe it as flexitarian. Can you tell me what that means?
So the thing of flexitarianism is actually a concept I heard in the UK. Again, you're welcoming everyone. You're being inclusive, you're being diverse. Anyone who wants to try it can come in. When you are focusing on a business that's plant-based, for example, there's this connotation that you're going to be promoting it through, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that. And my first thing was when the whole idea was brewing, it was, I don't want to campaign against anything. I want to be able to allow anyone to walk in through the door, have a choice, look into what we are selling, and whether they want to buy or not, that's entirely up to them. Because once you start putting limitations, you're not actually opening up to everyone and anyone to come in. I'm not an imposing person.
Yeah.
So if you have that ideology, I respect you. And when you come here, if you tell me I'm plant-based or I'm vegan, I will treat you with all the respect in the world, as much as I will treat anyone who comes in to want to buy something, because they might just want to have a falafel. And they'll be like, you know what, to be honest, I'm a meat eater, but I love falafel. So you never see, even in our social media, we don't campaign for a particular mindset, because I don't believe in that. And I wouldn't be who I am today if I had conditioning in my mindset, because I'm always open to learning.
So you're also very conscious and mindful in the way you live your life. Do you think food and mindfulness are something that should go hand in hand?
100%. I mean, it's as if you have a thought pattern or you have a thought process. What you're feeding into your mind is how you're going to kind of see your life, right? It's a lot to do with your food. When you're nourishing yourself and you're feeling good about the food that you're eating, your perspective on the day, even energetically, you feel stronger, you feel better. So I think it goes hand in hand, because again, being conscious of how you do things also plays out on your day-to-day routine.
How you feed your body is how it will respond to life.
100%. And I think it goes as well with everything that we do, really. So being aware and being conscious, and maybe you would have asked me this maybe 5 years ago, I would be like, no. I would just be like a toro, no? Like, excuse me, just head front, no? But I think now it's more about, hold on, step back, see how you want to be able to be as a person. I mean, as well with the business, your ethos is very important. I mean, if I know what it's been like to be an employee and having had different types of treatment, how do I want to portray myself as a person running a business with staff, and how do I want to portray it when I'm serving a customer? So everything does go hand in hand, and I think that's where we have learned a lot. And I think Sanjay himself, having had very, very difficult jobs as well in the past, he made it a point to make sure that how he behaves as an employer would be very different to what he's experienced as an employee. So we kind of put it all together, even in making the food, making sure that when you're making the food, the spirits are high, the music is happening. I mean, I'm a very jovial person. I look very serious, but I do like to have my fun. So I think we kind of bring that environment so you feel it when you're cooking. You're not putting in that, oh, I don't want to make this.
No, but I feel like you're talking more than serving food. It's about serving life fuel,
Yeah.
and igniting that good feeling in people, which is a lovely thing to do. But you've talked about your team very briefly. Can we just talk about what it's like to build a team, getting the right team together, and how that helps protect or not protect your business?
I think because we were employers for the first time, we've not been employers before in such a type of business. It was challenging initially because you are coming in with all sorts of different people who are coming to work with you. You have to adapt to them, they have to adapt to you. Sometimes it's not easy. Obviously, you face your challenges. But I think currently the staff that we are working with, they are very jovial people, and I think, again, it's a very emotional thing. When they appreciate you for the way that you behave with them, that makes a huge difference, because somewhere in them, you're helping them to thrive as well. So if the day of tomorrow they have another job guiding them, my first thing is onwards and upwards, look forward to what you need to do and make sure that you do give it your best. As much as you can, my doors are always open. And every single one, except for maybe, I'll be honest with you, sometimes you don't end on good terms when we first started. But I think we were learning as well. And there's no bad blood. It's more about go and be happy, do what you need to do. And I want to see the ones that leave thrive, because they've helped, they've helped shape Sam's Kitchen. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be who we are today. So every single person that enters, including a customer, you don't know with what they're coming with. A simple smile and a handshake and making sure they take their food nice and warm can make a difference to them. So what can I do to make a difference without needing an expectation in return?
So I feel like you're a very courageous lady because of the fact that you tell it like it is, which is something that a lot of people don't do. This is a very useful conversation for those thinking about business. So how do you feel, what kind of advice would you give people who are thinking about starting a business of their own?
I think the most sensible thing I could say is don't expect the day after tomorrow to be flourishing. You need to be a very patient person and be surrounded by people who can uplift you and guide you through that journey. Don't think that all on your own that it's going to be a bed of roses, because it's not. You need good guidance, and if you can have that support system to help you, it's so that they can challenge you in your way of thinking and at the same time help you find a solution. Because sometimes you might get the whole thing of you still have an idea, that's not going to work, don't bother. And you're like, well, maybe it could. And then somebody else comes and says, okay, I see these challenges for you, but why don't you try this. So it's not killing off your idea, but trying to find the people that can surround you to help you to lift it. And if you have to be challenged in your thought process, that's the best way to actually make it, really try and perfect it the best that you can.
I think it's almost impossible to build something successful without making a few mistakes along the way.
100%, and I can vouch for that, that's for sure.
So we have discussed the impact that Cycle has on young people, but how does the program work?
So we have the summer program that we do usually in the month of August. And now we're doing the whole promotion now of it. So from 12 to 15-year-olds, we do a 3-week program. There's a lot that happens during the program. We have a residential of 2 days. Then we have a business challenge, and then we have the community challenge. So we're actually helping young people to tap into different aspects of the community and for their own self-growth. Our well-being programs are very important, so we carry out a safe feel-good space every single day. And it's for 3 weeks, and we make sure that we do the best that we can to help make icebreaker activities, get them involved in different things. So it's quite vast, to be honest with you. And I'm in the process of just having taken over. So sometimes I'm like, now how do I do this? So yeah, but it's very interesting. And we have throughout the year, we have the Innovation Hub, which we go to schools, sometimes with some of our sponsors, and they hold a workshop about maybe, for example, budgeting. And then we will go and speak about self-confidence or talk about conflict management. So we have that opportunity, which we have been very grateful. The schools and the Department of Education and different companies are supporting us with. So we're very grateful for that.
Rewarding in a different way.
100%. 100%. It's nice because you are doing something where even if you take one full stop or the smallest pin drop or whatever it is of some information or a grain of sand, but something can help you. Because at the end of the day, had we had this growing up, we would have maybe not made so many mistakes along the way, but you know what, we learn. And it's thanks to those mistakes that we can offer this today.
So when you look at your life now as a mother, as a businesswoman, helping your brother with cycle, what are the most important things in your journey?
I think I always kept focused. As much as I went through a lot of challenges myself, even mental health challenges, emotional challenges, I kept my focus. And sometimes I didn't have the focus, but because I had my kids with me, I always felt, you know what, this is the reason that I'm going to keep going. And with my brother the same, with cycle the same. It's like, how can I make a difference? It's not for a reward. I don't want any reward. It's how can I make a difference, because that will be carried on forward for somebody else. So that is, I feel like I'm more at peace with that now than I ever was.
Okay. And the last question we like to ask every guest is a bit on how they feel at present. So my last question to you is, and you will finish the sentence, Romina right now is?
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
Amongst the chaos, peaceful.
You definitely give that aura. And it's been such a lovely experience talking to you, because I've been learning things about you that I didn't know before. I've obviously known of you for a very long time. So I really enjoyed this conversation. It was very touching and it was very powerful. So thank you so much for joining me today, Romina.
Thank you very much, honestly. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm really grateful that we could be so transparent. Thank you.
I'm sure the viewers have found this conversation as inspiring and moving as I did. Thank you so much for watching.